And people have really short memory in this space, but like at the time, the common narrative in the Bitcoin space was like, guys, BRC20s, they're gonna be around forever. You don't need another standard, everyone will just figure it out one day. And then, again, now the narrative is like, we need this programmable asset thing, but like—
That's true, you guys were the first to talk about it.
Well, we were getting shit on. Like even Domo and the BRC20 team was like, we went on an L1F spaces and we told them, hey, like our idea with this is we're gonna do smart contracts on the indexer side for CBRC20. And they were like, that's a horrible idea. And then, like 2.5 months later, they're like, BRC20 2.0 with smart contracts.
Also, you guys are fiery.
Oh yeah, absolutely. Oh yeah.
So yeah,
we're not guiltless in this. But yeah, they. But I mean, look. At the end of the day, I think a lot of people still to this day don't know the commit and reveal scheme of ordinals, right? People don't know how the ordinal indexing works. There was just this little controversy that happened with the Pizza Ninjas and how Magic Eden like removed a couple from the collection, and people are like, how can they do that? Well, I mean, I think the education is slowly but surely, we're fighting an uphill battle to educate people. We might be like the wrong people to do it because we're a little bit like fiery, as you said. That's a nice way to put it. We've been trying our best for a long time to educate people from when it came to BRC20 indexer decentralization to how do we actually build programmability to telling people what runes were actually going to be, and then hey, we knew what runes were going to be. We still lost money on them, so we fell victim to the same thing everyone did. We fell victim to the hype cycle.
Like a moth to a flame, we all flew towards it.
You can't take the degen out of it, no matter how much you want to.
Bitcoin Season 2 is brought to you by Botanix Labs. Botanix is pioneering a new direction for DeFi with the first EVM Layer 2 running on Bitcoin that's built to be forward secure, decentralized, and share gas fees generated by the network with users. See the future of DeFi from Botanix Labs, botanixlabs.xyz.
Okay, I don't have anything planned, but I'm here with Chad. What's your do you do last names?
Chad Master.
Chad Master.
Chad Master XBT.
Okay, so and we have a funny, I guess, origin story here. Do you want to go? Where do you want to cut in? Like a lot happened the past 2 years. But where do you want to start?
Shit,
we don't have to start at the beginning. Just cut me into like.
All right, CBRC20 is probably the best place. That's probably the best place to start because. Myself and Danny, the co-founder, we basically just took over a rugged BRC20 project, right? That's like where this all started from, trying to figure out how do you make a DEX on Bitcoin. Like our initial thesis as investors was like, first it's going to be JPEGs, it'll move to fungible assets, and then DeFi will be kind of like the final boss of this Bitcoin shit. But unfortunately, I think none of us really realized at the time, but the limitations of the standards that came out were so limiting that we never moved past meme coins. We never even really got a good meme coin experience. We got like...
We got 40 and that was transformative, but it's only hit $1 billion in the scale context of meme coins.
I mean, there have been meme coins on base chain that have outperformed Ordi, right? Like, if we're on Bitcoin where there's $1 trillion of liquidity, the top meme coin should have surpassed Shiba Inu. We should have gone to the $40-50 billion market cap. But there's no ability to really trade liquid on chain. And so, a DEX was sort of like the first thing that really has, and it's sort of been this like mind virus with us that's propelled us forward to try and figure out how do you actually innovate to the point where you can actually make a Bitcoin DEX? Because there's been a lot of people who've tried workaround solutions, but there's not been like a true Bitcoin DEX experience. So we made CBRC20, which is basically just fork BRC20's logic, put the, use CBOR, use the metaprotocol field in the ordinal envelope to put your data. And really, I mean, that was like...
It was like a no-brainer, strict improvement with the XML feature, which was, weirdly enough, one of the original concepts of BRC. We've kicked this horse to death.
Yes.
But you guys was like, that's how you popped up on my radar, not as Chad, but as this enigmatic, anonymous team. And I was like, okay, these guys actually have some chops, like, they're worth paying attention to. You nerve sniped me a bit, and I thought that was pretty interesting.
Yeah. Well, like, at the time, people have really short memory in this space, but like at the time, the common narrative in the Bitcoin space was like, guys, BRC20s, they're going to be around forever. You don't need another standard. Everyone will just figure it out one day. And then, again, now the narrative is like, we need this programmable asset thing. But like,
that's true. You guys were the first to talk about this.
Well, we were getting shit on. Like even Domo and the BRC20 team was like, we went on an L1F spaces and we told them, hey, like our idea with this is we're going to do smart contracts on the indexer side for CBRC20. And they were like, that's a horrible idea. And then like 2.5 months later, they're like, BRC20 2.0 with smart contracts
also,
on
you guys are fiery.
Oh yeah, absolutely. Oh yeah.
So yeah.
We're not guiltless in this. But yeah, but I mean, look, at the end of the day, I think a lot of people still to this day don't know the commit and reveal scheme of ordinals, right? People don't know how the ordinal indexing works. There was just this little controversy that happened with the Pizza Ninjas and how Magic Eden like removed a couple from the collection, and people are like, how can they do that?
Wait, this is probably like, yeah, I was talking about this a year and a half ago, and I realized nobody cares. But now they care.
Well, I mean, I think the education, slowly but surely, we're fighting an uphill battle to educate people. We might be like the wrong people to do it because we're a little bit like fiery, as you said. That's a nice way to put it. But yeah, I mean, we're maybe a little combative, but like, we've been trying our best for a long time to educate people from when it came to BRC20 indexer decentralization to how do we actually build programmability to telling people what runes were actually going to be, and then hey, we knew what runes were going to be. We still lost money on them, so we fell victim to the same thing everyone did. We fell victim to the hype cycle.
Yeah, like a moth to a flame. We all flew towards it.
You can't take the degen out of it, no matter how much you want to. But yeah, I mean, so basically we took a step back from CBRC20 mostly because, we built out a DEX into the indexer side. We built out the smart contract logic for Uniswap v2 into the indexer side. And then we kind of had to have like a come to Jesus moment. Like, what do we actually want out of this? Do we want to see a DEX on Bitcoin, or do we want to see full programmability on layer 1? Do we want to see the ability for DeFi to actually happen? Because the problem we were facing is like, we talked to VCs, we talked to people about, okay, everyone wants to know what's next. Oh, well, lending, all these, but how do you build that into the indexer side? It's totally permissioned, at least in the approach that we were taking. So if you want to build a lending protocol, we had to build all this extra logic into the indexer side and release a new version of the indexer client. It's like a total fucking nightmare. So at the end of the day, starting from zero, the ordinal protocol fundamentally, it's an NFT protocol. Like any other development on top of it is trying to fit a square peg into a round hole. Like, it's not where you should be trying to build programmable standards. And so, despite, contrary to popular belief, I am actually a true believer that we don't have the Bitcoin standard yet. And I think that the game is still wide open for standards, which is why there's a million of them.
Oh, I would strongly agree with that too, though. I mean, I think it's totally up in the air. We're only 15 years into this experiment.
Yep.
And we're only a year and a half into the data blobs on Bitcoin that we call inscriptions.
Yep. Yeah, I mean, and again, like, I think the game's wide open. Like, the reason why we don't see, I think, two things. I think the reason why we don't see users coming in to degen on Bitcoin is because the user experience is not very good. Getting someone who's trading smart contract-based assets to accept the UTXO model, it's already hard enough to trade on Bitcoin.
Yeah.
If you have the most seamless user experience, it's already going to be difficult to trade on Bitcoin. You're talking 10-minute block times, sometimes even longer than that, right? It's going to be expensive. It's going to be slow. So the UX has to be like as good. It has to be 1-to-1 to these other blockchains. And so if you're having to accept, actually, my fungible asset is tied to a little piece of Bitcoin.
Yeah.
And I'm trading little pieces of Bitcoin. I mean, imagine if ETH tokens were, I'm trading little pieces of ETH around.
Yeah.
Like, no one would understand that. It's really fucking complicated.
Yeah.
And to be a developer in that space, there aren't really many developers in that space because there's not much you can really develop. Like, that's innovative at least. And people want to fucking copy and paste. People want to say, what's the real bullishness behind this Bitcoin narrative is, if ETH was really a test net, which is sort of what everyone likes to say, you got to be able to like take a good ETH protocol and deploy it on Bitcoin layer 1, or else
otherwise it's not a test net. It's the mainnet.
It's the mainnet.
What is a test net for?
Right.
It's to demonstrate use case and to iterate on these ideas. Yeah.
Exactly. And so if the Bitcoin protocols are trying to be like these really cheap knockoff versions where you only have 25% of what makes these ETH protocols good, then it's not a test net. And so you have to really, if you truly believe that, which I do, like, it has to be an experience where an ETH developer can move from ETH to Bitcoin without having to do a 10-year study course on how fucking UTXOs work.
Yeah.
Right? It has to be a really seamless experience. So that's what we've really tried to build is like the ability, it starts from the dev side, but I think also on the user side, like you need to build an experience that's seamless. So like the way it works effectively is like you're deploying smart contracts into the Bitcoin blocks, right? Same way you're making an ordinal basically. You're using Taproot and TapScript. So like let's just say I'm a developer and I want to deploy a protocol. Let's just call it a DEX, right? I take my smart contract, I deploy it into a Bitcoin block using Taproot and TapScript. A new address is created. It's split between SegWit and Taproot. The SegWit side is where the smart contract information actually lives. It has a no spend condition on it, right? Like we're taking the commit and reveal and segmenting it, right? And taking the commit side and saying that is where your smart contract lives. And then the indexer is then able to abstract that as your smart contract address. Because it's no spend, users can then send their smart contract call data in Bitcoin transactions to that Bitcoin address. And now functionally you've solved the account model system on layer 1 Bitcoin, and you also solve for this indexer problem because again, these indexers that we have they work just like the ORD client fundamentally. There's a few differences, obviously. Yeah. There's more compute happening, but that's the basis of what OPNET allows you to do. And you're only using Bitcoin as gas, right? Like
that's one of the things which I'm like, I'm doing Bitcoin Season 2 stuff. I try to embrace the reality that other blockchains exist and interesting ideas which are not in this narrow category of Bitcoin maximalism. But I also struggle to platform new token schemes. Like I want to talk about them in a healthy way, and this is one of the things I have to give you guys some huge ups for, is you have designed this to have Bitcoin as its native gas token, which is very admirable.
We're trying to be as Bitcoin native as possible. Yeah. I mean, there have been a million conversations with VCs that have offered us a ton of money to just make an L2. It'll just raise a giant valuation for a gas token. But I mean, fundamentally, in my opinion, there's more value in actually tapping into Bitcoin layer 1 liquidity. I mean, okay, like I'm sure you see it. I'm sure everyone sees it. There's a million Bitcoin layer 2s that pop up every single day. I'm sure you get deal flow passed across your desk that says, in their pitch deck, there's $1 trillion of liquidity on Bitcoin layer 1. And with my L2 sidechain, I'm going to unlock it. But I mean, let's do a quick profile of who is that $1 trillion of liquidity. We're talking about Bitcoin maximalists here. We're not talking about average users. Average users they're already using other chains. We're talking about people who fundamentally think that Ethereum is a Bitcoin layer 2, right? They think ETH is a Bitcoin scam chain, is a layer 2 scam chain, and so they're not gonna touch any other blockchain. They're staying on Bitcoin layer 1 no matter what. And even that, like, you're not gonna get these Bitcoin guys to start buying meme coins. Like, let's just be realistic about this. But what do they wanna do? If they could swap their Bitcoin on chain without KYC for a stable coin, right? Because what are their options right now? You use an exchange where you're KYCing. You use Tether, which is issued as an ERC20. So if you're a religious Bitcoin maximalist, which there's a lot of them, they have a lot of that money. We're talking that $1 trillion of liquidity is held by these guys.
Yeah.
So they are compromising by using ERC20 stablecoins. So if you can make a way for, let's just say Tether to issue Tether on Bitcoin layer 1, if you could have a way for Bitcoiners to be able to swap that Bitcoin for Tether on Bitcoin layer 1 or any other stablecoin, let's just say. And then on top of that, obviously, I think lending is something that some Bitcoiners might have aversion to early on. But if there's a real trustless, permissionless way to get yield,
I think Bitcoiners are coming around to it. I see the first bits of like people who would otherwise hate that. They're kind of coming around to it because they realize lending is very important. Yeah, we disagree on scale and where the lend, but lending is an important mechanism.
I mean, if you could just offer these games to these guys on the mother chain, I mean, those are really the only two realistic applications I see for unlocking that liquidity. And even so, you're only going to get a certain amount of that to move. It's going to be significant amount of TVL, but I mean, again, I think also if you can just create a really easy way for Bitcoiners to stake their Bitcoin somewhere on layer 1 and just get some yield off of it, especially in like a Bitcoin issued stable, then I think you start opening these doors, right? I mean, like, layer 2s are not useless. It's just like you need functionality before scale on layer 1, in my opinion. Like, we're still, again, I asked you this question earlier, but like, where are the users, right? Yeah. We're having all these scaling conversations. I think of the scaling conversation with Bitcoin came and went when it came to accepting Bitcoin as payment. If we're past that and Bitcoin's digital gold, then we gotta find some way to create these markets on Bitcoin and then on-chain economy on layer 1 for people to put their Bitcoin to work.
So one of the other things which I found quite impressive is that in a landscape where development skill, Bitcoin dev mindshare is as valuable as gold, you guys have managed to entice and work with some pretty high throughput developers. Can you talk to me about this? I guess how do
we get these?
How did you find these people?
How do we get these motherfuckers?
Why do they work with you?
I mean, this may sound super lame, but like we genuinely come from the perspective of like we are trying to achieve a dream here. Like what we really want to see is like changing the future of Bitcoin, right? Which is like that's obviously like, oh, it's so ambitious, blah blah. It might be really really lame or whatever, but like, and here we are, we're at a Token 2049 where everyone's raising money for AI, Web3 gaming platforms or whatever, and so anyone who I talk to here, well, how much are you guys raising? It's like, okay, take out of it, like, what do like real developers, aside from like there are money maxi developers, and then there are like real developers, and these guys want to make an impact, right? Like these guys, okay, like I'm a musician, right? You are you, and my fundamental desire for making music is not that I want to be famous, right? It's like I want to create something. Like, and these guys are just like creatives, right? Like they are creatives, they are artists in and of themselves. As developers, they're able to really like make beautiful things with their code. And a lot of these guys, what motivates them beyond money is being able to build something that's lasting and impactful. And these guys aren't like, I want to get my name in lights. But the thing that motivates every developer that we've worked with so far is not to see, a big check hit their bank account or something. It's to see people making pull requests on their GitHubs, right? Or like using the testnet and messaging them with questions about how to build applications, right? Like,
that you really do, you did nail it, where I go to like some Bitcoin dev conferences and the best devs are they're not as attracted by the carrot dangling in front of them. Yeah, money matters a lot, but like that's not why they're a good dev. Right. They're a good dev because they're intellectually curious. They like to have input. And that's actually one thing I think you guys, if I can intuit what's happening, you guys seem to be pretty communicative back and forth with your dev. And to even so far as like they actually help direct the evolution of how the product even works.
Absolutely, yeah. Our role, like myself and Danny, like our role, we have an overall architecture that we are striving for, but that's constantly changing and evolving because again, there's constantly new things. Like if you allow someone creative freedom, again, like we work hand in hand with our dev team, always. Like, and I learn every single day. Like I came to this knowing basically zero about Bitcoin. You can ask me about ETH stuff and DeFi. I'll tell you all sorts of shit about it. But like, I knew nothing about Bitcoin, and I slowly educated myself, slowly but surely. And a lot of it's just you spend time with other people. I mean, okay, you're a drummer, right?
Yeah.
You spend time with a really good drummer, and you're spending every single day watching this guy practice.
A lot of observation, a lot of emulation.
All of a sudden, your ghost notes start to get a little tighter.
Exactly. I didn't practice that much more, but I am so much better just from watching.
Yeah, exactly. And again, having these types of conversations and studying what these guys do, it informs our perspective. And again, like developers aren't always, on the forefront of like what makes the most business sense, right? But like, these guys have fucking beautiful ideas, and if you can sort of work hand in hand with them, that is where I think, again, that's why we're able to attract some of these developers, is because they do have full creative freedom, right? It can help and hurt timelines sometimes, but I also think that at the end of the day, like our goal isn't to ship the fastest product. Our goal is to actually like make a big impact here.
Even then, though, you guys, while OPNET is out on mainnet, you guys have probably the fastest product iteration cycle.
Yeah.
We are 9 months now into you guys throwing out CBRC20.
Yeah.
And a point about CBRC20 was that like people forget how fast things happen in the first 2 weeks. It went from nothing to a full, I don't actually even know I actually lose track of where like different additions to it were released. And I see this, across the other things you guys have produced and iterated on. For example, like I look at the list of various applications which are plugging into OPNET, and that list went from like 3 things to like 20 or 50 things like overnight.
Yeah. Well, I mean, okay, I think that everybody who isn't just beyond the service level of just, this is what builders are doing everywhere outside from Bitcoin. What builders are doing, DeFi builders are go into L2s, and L2s have foundations and grant money to pay these developers to build another version of a lending protocol on L2 chain, number 50, right?
Yeah.
But there's a lot of these guys who are hungry to like plant their flag on the moon, right? Like a lot of these early DeFi protocols, they didn't raise capital, right? They were DAOs, or they just came out of the blue and offered a great product.
Yeah, some of the best success stories are a surprising, disproportionate amount of the best success stories are bootstrap projects.
Absolutely. And again, like there's a lot of capital that's trying to be thrown at Bitcoin ecosystem assets. I mean, we're talking about, I don't know, probably $500 million, maybe more, has been raised by Bitcoin layer 2 projects across maybe 50 different layer 2s that are coming out. And again, I think a lot of these VCs, like if there was the ability to invest in layer 1 applications that actually do have a chance in tapping into that liquidity, that's where that money would go. And so that's sort of like kind of our goal is to make a platform where people can build layer 1 applications. Then value can accrue in these apps, right? Like this is like the fat app thesis, and which is basically saying, okay, like the internet, for example, is a permissionless protocol. There's no value attached to the internet. There's no stock in the internet. Yeah. But that simultaneously allows it to be valueless and the most valuable thing that's ever been created, because the protocols that build using the internet, those applications can accrue unlimited value. Yeah. And here we are in Bitcoin, which has the highest liquidity out of any blockchain. So the cap of a protocol building on Bitcoin should be $1 trillion, right? Like that's the cap that we see. And I think Bitcoin's going to go up a significant amount this next year. It could hit 3 to 5 billion or 3 to 5 trillion. Again, there shouldn't be a reason why Bitcoin lending or a Bitcoin stablecoin or a Bitcoin DEX, for example, right? These should be extremely high. It should surpass the ETH stuff, right? Again, then we can truly fulfill the prophecy of ETH being a testnet.
Yeah, it's been a meme, but also like you have to prove that it's not a meme. Like you have to demonstrate that it was. I'm not really sure what question to ask next, but like, what do you think the next 3 months looks like?
I think that it's going to go like this. I think that at least with OPNET specifically, I'll give you my OPNET scope and the rest of the Bitcoin space. With OPNET specifically, I think it's going to be a lot of degen activity first. I think this is going to give the platform for all the real meme coin. Like there's meme coin cabals that exist on Solana and Base Chain and Ethereum, and these are the guys who really run the show there. And every time you see $1 billion meme coin, you can guarantee there's some insider push to it. These guys have faded ordinals and all this type of stuff because there's just like the user experience hasn't been there, and so it hasn't been pushed through their influencer channels. So we're going to see a lot of that activity, I think, early. The user experience is going to make so much sense. There's going to be the pump funds, and that stuff is not inherently, I think, made for layer 1. I don't think that's what the end stage of this is going to be, but I think it's going to be, we're going to see, obviously, I think the prophecy will be fulfilled, right? Like the thesis was when ordinals came out, Bitcoin is going to evolve in the opposite. It's going to be NFTs, then meme coins, then DeFi. And DeFi is going to be, we can get into the SlowFi thesis after this, but like DeFi is going to be, I think, the strongest use case for these smart contract stuff on layer 1. But we still haven't seen a full meme coin cycle. There hasn't really been a good like $1 billion meme coin. Already wasn't even like a meme coin. Like that's not a meme. So I think there's going to be a lot of people who try and push this stuff. So that's what I think the early stage is going to be a lot of that. There's going to be staking and liquidity mining. There's going to be a lot of TVL, I think, early on. And then this is going to give big players a chance to build. Like there's like 50 projects building using OPNET right now. But they're all at various stages of development. Some are in the stage of fundraising, some are planning to bootstrap in other ways, some are making DAOs, et cetera. And then all those guys are hiring teams and building out. There are some that are very close to launching. They might be ready for mainnet. Some are it'll be a month or so. So having that period of time where it's just pure degen, and I think people want degenning on layer 1 again. Like
Casey was very clear, he's gonna put out runes with the explicit intent of drawing in and attracting the degens. And that's what happened, and they went to 0. But you have like tacit and explicit endorsement of this type of strategy from people who like care about Bitcoin.
Yeah, I think Casey's mistake with runes was that I think he just underrated the importance of the user experience to the degens. Like degens are fundamentally like
They're base creatures.
Yes,
They're very
like
base
you
creatures.
need it to be as easy as I hit the swap button and it works. Like people don't want to split UTXOs. As soon as you start talking about that stuff, you lose 90% of the user base of all crypto when you start talking about splitting UTXOs up. It's over at that point. And like that, those are. But okay, like Casey being a very smart guy, like he's like not a degen himself, right? Like it's like my dad trying to make a rap album, you know? Like he knows like 90s
Maybe
rap.
he likes rap.
Yeah, he knows some 90s rap stuff, but like my dad is not a rapper. Like he's not gonna know what the kids on the street want.
Yeah.
And so, you know, again, I think Runes were, I think, a significant improvement on the user experience of BRC20. I think that he accomplished his goal in, I think, a lot of ways. And I don't really think his goal ever was like, oh, this is going to be the long-lasting protocol where we're going to tap into layer 1 liquidity and we're going to get stable coins. We're going to do all this stuff.
Yeah, I don't remember him saying anything.
He did not say any of that stuff. It was everyone else who kind of made that. So I think, first step is fix the current market, right? What can you do with these assets? You can build applications. You can trade them liquid on-chain and liquidity pools. You can make tax tokens. You can deploy tokens with the same tickers a million different times because they're all based on smart contract addresses, which are really just Bitcoin addresses. But when I'm going to MotoSwap to buy my token, I copy my smart contract address and I paste it into MotoSwap and then I swap. So let's just say I deploy Chad token and it rugs. Someone else can come along and deploy Chad token too, and that's the good Chad token. And so, I mean,
Many such cases,
exactly. Again, we're talking about basic user experience on these other blockchains, but that I think is first.
Yeah.
Second, I think in the next anywhere between 3 to 8 months, I think people are going to start doing really degen DeFi stuff. We'll see cranked up Ponzi's, we'll see all that stuff happen. And then I think the long-term view of this is going to be once Bitcoin maxis start moving in, and there's, again, Tether starts deploying Tether on layer 1 Bitcoin. The blocks it's going to be every block is whale activity, right?
Yeah.
You're going to have possibly 3 to 5 times the amount of daily volume of swaps than Uniswap done in just stablecoin transactions, just with one application. You build lending into the mix. I mean, layer 1 transactions are going to be really expensive. That's where I think layer 2s actually make a lot of sense in that case, right? So that's, I think, the 6 months to a year vision of this is bring as much functionality as possible. Bootstrap with this degen activity. Bootstrap TVL. Give people an opportunity to actually build out the applications and actually use ETH as the test net. Take your $1 billion Ethereum protocol and deploy it on layer 1 Bitcoin and see what happens. It's going to be crazy.
Yeah.
It's going to be inefficient. It's going to be MEV. It's going to be wild. But I think, go ahead.
No, I get it. You brought up the topic of MEV, and I'll probably say this is the last topic is MEV, baby. There's a lot of MEV denialists in the Bitcoin space, which surprises me. But yet we see little inklings of like power user MEV and ordinal sniping, which I think is just the tip of the iceberg. But if we're thinking about billion-dollar protocols, and we consider that as it's very hard for the average person to understand the scale of incentive here.
Yeah.
MEV what are your thoughts on MEV?
It's going to be a key function. It's a key function of any programmable blockchain. I think it's going to be a key function on Bitcoin. I think there's going to be arbitrage between pools, and there's going to need to be MEV to even the score there. I mean, I think MEV does have a healthy place in an ecosystem. I think that there's different types of MEV. Bitcoin allows for really fuckery MEV. Like, miners can reorg individual transactions in individual blocks.
Bro, this is what I keep telling people. Is like people don't appreciate how different Bitcoin MEV would look and how absolutely fucked it can get.
Oh,
if you
can get very
imagine,
fucked.
yeah.
But so we have a protection for this, right?
Yeah.
We have a separate fee that people pay when they are submitting their transaction. So you pay, it's all done in one fee. It can all be looped up into one fee, but you pay your gas fee, right?
The contract address. Yeah.
Well, you pay your Bitcoin transaction fee, right?
Okay.
That goes to the Bitcoin miners.
Yeah.
And then secondarily, you'll pay your execution costs, which literally just goes to the contract address, which just goes to a Bitcoin address. With that, there's also a secondary fee. They call the priority fee. And what that allows for is when the Bitcoin block gets confirmed, the block is then reordered and processed by the indexer side based on this secondary fee. So if you don't want to send with any, one sat is basically equal to one priority fee. So if you don't want to send with any amount of extra fee, and as long as you get into the Bitcoin block, your transaction will be processed probably last by the OPNET indexers. But if you want to get your transaction through for whatever reason, you can send with an extremely high priority fee. And whether you're the last transaction confirmed in the Bitcoin block, or you're the right in the middle, or you're the first, either way, if you have the highest priority fee, you'll be processed first by the OPNET indexers. And what that allows for is, I mean, there's still MEV that can happen, but so it requires a little bit more work, right?
Yeah.
Miners don't have just full control over everything that happens.
That's been an interesting thing, is because, like, I don't know how you fully eliminate MEV from a system, but you can make it so that it is, like, some MEV is very low-hanging fruit, whereas this seems like it's pretty high up on the tree, and you have to really want to try to get it. And it seems to me like it'd be a while before someone spins this up. But by then, like, the protocol's a success. There's a bunch of money flowing through it, and that would, and ultimately you get to lock in a major win. And
yeah, but we're gonna see, like, okay, there's all these protections against MEV on Ethereum now.
They
with, like,
still
they
stumble over themselves.
Absolutely, but you're gonna have, like, okay, for every MEV bot that's built that basically scans the Bitcoin mempool, orders the transactions and how they're going to be processed by the OPNET indexers based off this priority fee, and then submits a transaction to front run yours and extract value or whatever, right? It's going to be way more difficult and complicated for these MEV bots to exist, but people will build them because if there's money to be made, people will do it. But there's also going to be, like, again, like private mempools and MEV protection, right? Like, these are all products that are going to have extremely high value to users. And again, like, no one has to invent that concept. That stuff already exists on Ethereum.
This is what I think the Ethereum testnet is the most underappreciated for. Is like we can basically speed run the MEV mitigation and MEV acceleration timelines at the same time on Bitcoin, because we know the playbook.
Right.
That's one thing I keep, like, harping on, and a lot of people may accuse me of being, like, too MEV accelerationist. I think I'm a MEV realist.
Yeah.
Where I'm like, I think most people just don't appreciate that in a permissionless system, the value will be extracted.
Yeah.
And I would rather to get to a point where that whole process is more efficient, and probably I think the end state of most MEV actually ends up back with the users.
Yeah.
Users will be disincentivized to use heavily MEV systems. So the MEV systems are incentivized to give that back to the user on the long timeline. So I want to get to that. I want to get that end state as soon as possible.
People are gonna start tokenizing MEV too.
Yeah.
I mean, it's gonna be.
Well, you see, there's a guy on ETH, it was Ari something who did on Solana called Paladin. Have you seen this?
No, I don't think so.
This is research after I'll link you to it. It's a very interesting tokenized MEV product. Anyway, so
I mean, I think that's gonna be the future of this stuff, right? Because, like, these, like, shadowy ETH MEV groups that spend millions and millions of dollars they spend 99% of their profits to make that 1% of profit. Like
Jared from Subway.btc.
Exactly. I mean, again, I think that especially in the Bitcoin environment, I think that there's going to be more incentive for those guys to make products that benefit the users, because Bitcoin is this sort of user-centric ecosystem. I mean, again, quite honestly, I couldn't even tell you how crazy it's going to be, but it's probably going to be really insane.
Yeah.
But I also think, as you said, like, it's not just going to be on the MEV side. It's going to be on the product side for users. There's going to be MEV protection. And I mean, we're already working closely with, like, Rebar, for example. Like, those guys are thinking ahead of the curve, in my opinion. Because, like, right now, like, what Bitcoin MEV right now to the average user, someone fat-fingered their ordinal, then I sniped it, and then I listed it on the floor. It's like, there's no
basic simple MEV.
Yeah. And there's no instant value, right? Like, the real MEV involves actual liquid arbitrage, right? Where, like, if someone is leaving a certain amount of value to be extracted, then someone can come in and instantly extract it. And that is really where I think we're going to see MEV really take off on layer one, is once we have liquidity pools, pool-to-pool arbitrage is going to be massive. And that's also something that's going to be necessary. So I don't think it's all bad.
Yeah. How toxic is toxic? And I don't know where the line is, but it's fascinating. It's one of my favorite conversations. I actually want to make it one of my goals of 2025 to stay on top of the MEV story. I think it's it's going to move so fast that it's going to be hard to...
It's going to be hard to keep up with.
Yeah, keep up with.
Dude, you're one of the only people I feel like really platforms a lot of these MEV guys, but these are going to be the guys who
because
win.
when it happens, it's going to happen so fast.
Exactly. And yeah, again, if ETH is a dark forest, Bitcoin's
as Devin from Reaper Labs, it's a dark swamp.
Dark swamp. I mean, Bitcoin's like space, man. Like Bitcoin is like the dark void. Like we're talking about, it could be way darker and way bigger than anyone possibly could fathom. So, once you introduce smart contract functionality, it's going to be crazy. But I mean, sort of what we're trying to do here is just kind of open Pandora's box. We want to give people the ability to do this stuff, right?
Casey cracked it open, and you guys are ripping it open.
Right, well, he did it for NFTs. Like, NFTs were already cooked on all these other chains.
Yeah.
And they had this big resurgence because you could do that on Bitcoin. But just like every other NFT, they went up and they went down. It's like the long-term vision of what you can do on layer 1. Again, you should be able to give these Bitcoin maxis the opportunity to play some of these games. I see it to some degree like, they legalized, in a lot of, at least where I live in Illinois, they legalized sports gambling on your phones, right?
Oh, yeah. I live in Oklahoma. We got a lot of Native American casinos.
Yeah, okay. A lot of people who I know who have never stepped foot in a casino are every day watching sports, placing a $10 bet here and there. So I think to some degree, it's like these guys they've proven that they're not moving to another blockchain. They're staying on layer 1 Bitcoin exclusively. So you have to build this stuff on layer 1 Bitcoin, bring all this functionality, and then we can figure out scale later. I think scale is one of those conversations. There's a million different options, and it'll happen whenever it happens. But like, Bitcoin blocks need to be filled to the brim, 6,000 transactions per block, high sats VB.
You're making my heart beat fast. This is what I get so excited,
That's the only way. And also, I mean, like, okay, getting really schizo about it, but like, if Bitcoin doesn't continue to double every 4 years, then mining becomes unprofitable.
It gets really hard to imagine where it does,
And then what happens? I mean, we're talking about the most secure decentralized blockchain, but as soon as mining becomes not profitable, the attack vectors open up all over the place. And then all of a sudden, I mean, Bitcoin could literally die. Like, I mean, I don't want to be a doomer about it, but like,
I think it's underappreciated. The maxis, laser eyes have made it almost like a religious experience. As adherent as I am to Bitcoin, you can't lose sight of the fact that it's only 15 years into it. It's still highly iterative.
Yep.
There's so much unknown about the future.
Yeah.
And in the grand scheme of things, $1 trillion is not that big. There's so much more money in the world.
Okay, if it's digital gold, I mean, gold is still a 10x.
10x from here,
10x from here. So, like, while I see that, like, getting people to actually accept, I mean, I think that another piece of like this OPNET thing that is appealing to some people is people already, if you're onboarding users to crypto and you have to get them to understand Bitcoin, which in and of itself, most people in crypto don't even understand Bitcoin and how it works. People still think like, when I send you a Bitcoin, I'm sending you Chad's Bitcoin.
Bro, I think the past year taught everybody that Bitcoin is not as simple as they thought. It's actually way more complex.
Yeah. It's the dumb chain that's actually extremely fucking complicated.
Yeah.
And so, but onboarding users to crypto, it's like you have to get them to accept Bitcoin, get them to accept digital value, and then now you have to tell them, okay, you got all that. Now let me tell you about Ethereum, and let me tell you about L2s and L3s and liquid restaking and all this other shit, and all the whole concept of DeFi is fucking genius. But in order for me to really explain DeFi to somebody, I have to first start with Bitcoin, then start with Ethereum, get into smart contracts, then get into DeFi. It's like, I've lost that person once I moved away from Bitcoin, they have a million questions about how Bitcoin fucking works.
That's actually Chad, that's a really good angle is, how do you get more average users into DeFi?
It's all on Bitcoin, baby.
Yeah, you don't even have to explain Bitcoin. Just like you jump straight to the application of it.
Okay, Bitcoin is a virtual stock market.
Yeah.
There's virtual assets on Bitcoin. It's a network of computers, and this is where you trade all sorts of different assets. You can create assets here. You can tokenize assets here. This is where everything can happen. And then again, like, it's much easier to digest everything else. Oh, everything else is actually just a faster version of Bitcoin.
Yeah.
Of what you could do on Bitcoin layer 1, everything else is just a faster version. And that, I think, is like a really easy way to get people to understand this stuff.
Yeah.
I think that the SloFi thesis, just to get into that really quickly, is like, there are some games, especially DeFi related, that could seriously benefit from lower throughput. Like, I think lending is not something, look at the TradFi market. The only thing that really has high speed, high frequency trading is like these stocks, right? Stock trading has a high frequency, but like in the TradFi market, if I want to get a loan for a house,
loans need to be a lot more secure, and you're not as anxious to get that loan.
Exactly. And even transferring money takes a decent amount of time. So like there are certain pieces that hold our entire Ponzi scheme financial system together that requires things to be slower, right? I mean, like, even if I wanted to if everybody in the entire bank wanted to get their money out of the bank doesn't have that money. And everyone knows that. But because of the slowness of this process, everyone's like, I'll just keep my stuff there. I'll just let it I'll keep it accruing value.
Friction can be a very important mechanism to accrue value.
Exactly, and I think that the slowness of Bitcoin Layer 1 especially is a feature, not a bug. And I think that, for meme coin trading and this type of stuff, I think we'll see these more Bitcoin native Layer 2 solutions pop up that are catered to the experience on Layer 1. That's a whole different conversation, but I think Fractal is the right step. I think there's going to be every Bitcoin Layer 1 right now, or Layer 2 that's trying to integrate EVM, I think is missing the mark, and I think there's going to be a new crop of these Layer 2s that are basically Bitcoin forks that are a little bit sped up, that have this programmability either built in or they have these metaprotocols built in.
The Unisat, the Fractal meta is powerful. It's hard to overlook. I mean, I've been looked at it the most closely, and I've been very critical of it at the same time. But it's hard to, you cannot deny that the massive user activity in the first week is a sign of something.
I mean, and credit to them, because how hard is it to bootstrap a proof of work chain?
Exactly.
Very fucking difficult.
Very difficult. Man, there's a big graveyard of proof of work chains.
Absolutely. So I mean, again, I truly believe that they'll be able to surpass BCH and BSV by a significant amount, I think.
Damn, that's interesting. Okay, I think it's also possible. We'll see if they're able to do it for a sustained period of time. Big question. Who knows?
That is the big question, but I do believe that okay, so for example, right, we have OPNET on Layer 1, but we're also able to deploy OPNET on Fractal. And
you can put on any fork.
You can put on any Bitcoin fork.
Yeah.
And again,
that's really cool. If you think there's more Bitcoin forks, you should be long OPNET. This is a very good angle.
Exactly. And then again, you could theoretically use your indexer system as a Layer 0 to be I mean, these are virtual assets. So you can
keep saying that one of
the
it's it's the best. It's not even atomic. It's just indexer atomic swaps.
Yep.
Yeah, I've always thought the indexer meta was underappreciated. I actually mentioned this on the stage about how indexers, an indexed protocol where you have the indexer smart contract logic, that's one of the best cross-chain protocols, and very few people appreciate this.
Yeah, I mean, it's going to be, there's instant scale for this stuff. People always ask us oh, well, you're trying to do all this stuff on Bitcoin Layer 1. How are you going to solve for throughput? It's there are chains that we can literally just, okay, you're an app developer and you want to develop a Bitcoin app. Let's say, I want to make Pump.Fun for Bitcoin Layer 1. Well, okay, you deploy that there. But you could also literally just copy paste your smart contract and deploy it on Bell's chain. You can deploy it on Doge chain or Dogecoin. You can deploy it on Fractal Bitcoin. And now all of a sudden your users have the ability to, this is slow and expensive. Guess what? You want a faster and cheaper experience? Boom, you got it. And now all the same apps that are on Layer 1 are also co-deployed on all these other chains.
This is kind of crazy, but that actually, I'm spitballing here. In a way, if you want to do a lot of your shorter term state updates on, say, a Fractal sidechain, and then resolve it back to Bitcoin, that actually takes what is otherwise a sidechain and turns it into a rollup.
Yes.
Which is so crazy. I hadn't thought of it. This is so dumb and amazing.
Using OPNET, you can actually truly create Bitcoin Layer 2s in a more Ethereum-esque fashion. I mean, again, I think that this is really, if OPNET ever happens, so let's just say we live in a world where OPNET doesn't happen.
Yeah.
This is going to be the way that these Layer 2s start building. They're going to start building using OPNET to connect to Layer 1. Then again, you fork Bitcoin, you do whatever you want with it, and you basically you have your ZK roll-up chain that's using it's going to be very interesting to see how all this stuff emerges.
So I want to end it there. This is really interesting. I didn't have anything planned. We chatted for 45 minutes. So classic OPNET fashion.
It's typical, man.
Yeah.
It's typical. There's too much to talk about.
Yeah, there's too much to
talk about.
I'm glad we crossed paths in Singapore. Otherwise,
it's always a pleasure, man.
I'll see you online.
Sounds good.